Okay, here we are making the Wichtel now, and I have actually got this book here. I bought it specially because the Wichtel is, as you know, it's a little German gnome, and there is this beautiful story from Grimm's brothers, Grimm's fairy tale. But this book here, I've never actually seen. I've never read before, and it's called it's the Wichtel Toke. Sounds like a very, I don't know, it doesn't sound like a very southern name. Oh, she lives, oh, it is actually Toke. She lives in, the author lives in Würzburg, which is down south. So anyway, this whole book is all about this this little Wichtel. But I think it's also a Christmas story. But the only reason why I've got the book is because of the pictures. Who buys books because of pictures? Hands up. I'm sure lots of you do. Saying that. There we go. Look, it's all Christmas time. And there he is, just like this little one, or this little one, sitting in the tree. Look how tiny he is. The mouse is even smaller than him. And if you look really closely, you might even find them. And I'm not going to read the story because it's going to take a long time to do that. But there he is with his little cart, and he's moving, and there's the owl and the squirrel and the mice. They're watching him. So let's just look for the pictures of the Wichtel, because that's what we want. Oh, look, he's flying on the back of a barn owl. Oh, your imagination is can just go wild. He's looking in on this little boy in his bedroom. I bet it's a really lovely story. It's all in German. So, oh, he's having a bath with a pirate ship. And there he is again. Oh, look, I think he's a little helper. He helps Father Christmas with Christmas presents. So yes, so this is the Wichtel. They're basically little creatures that are trying to be very helpful in service of humans, but they also live a very secretive life. So I'm going to put this book to one side now, and we're going to start getting our bits together for making our Wichtel. Before I do this, I'm just going to have a little check-in again. Some of you have been here for a while, some of you have just joined. Donna says, hot toddy in Scotland is whiskey, hot water and honey. Aha, so the toddy, or the one that I'm referring to, is rum and honey. Actually, I forgot that bit. Margaret says, for my doll's house, nice bonfires and crinkly leaves to run through and conkers. Oh. Julie says, good evening all. I have lent the last couple of days making an autumn wreath. Oh, spent, I think you probably mean. I'm so proud of it. Used some wool from the maker's box. That's lovely. Sam says, very late joining as playing with my niece and nephews, so we'll catch up later. No worries, you know where to go. So if you are watching this as a private video in our flock group, then it will be, you scroll at the very top of the group and there is a featured button, and you can click on that, and then all the videos will be on there. So that's it. If you're watching this on YouTube at any point, because you're not on Facebook but you're a flock member, or you're watching this as a tutorial anyway, then a lot of what we're talking about might not make any sense to you whatsoever. Don't worry, the main thing is that we are going to make a little Wichtel together. Now, there is a list of ingredients that you could have got together beforehand, but this is not very precise, so they can be tinier or a little bit bigger, and I'm going to show you, I'm going to start out by showing you what you need for in terms of your wire. You can use pipe cleaners. If you look very closely here on this one, these little hands are actually pipe cleaners that I've bent and just kept as little red mittens. And the same here, they're brown pipe cleaners. But as we want to try out the lanolin to add back into wool, or to cover the wire with, to see how that helps with the wool to stick, then I'm going to use the flexible steel wire. And I've actually bent this into a really weird contraption here, because I've measured this, and from here to there is 9 centimeters, and then another 9 centimeters, so a total of what does that make, 18 centimeters, and I'm going to cut that in half there. Oh my goodness, have I got wire cutters, or do I need to? No, I've got wire cutters. You'll be pleased to know I've got wire cutters. So I'm going to cut that here, because that will become the legs and the hat and the body. Okay, and then this here, from here to there, is 8 centimeters, and that will become the arms. Okay, so I have used from the flexible steel wire, I've still got some left, but I have used, let's just double check this. Yes, 8 centimeters and 18 centimeters bent in half. That's what I've used so far of the flexible steel wire. Now, in terms of, so you've got here, these are the 2 Try Me products that you will have found in your flock box, and I might just change, or will I change the color of this? I don't know. Let's just change it so you can see it a little bit better. I'm just going to cover this with another color so that hopefully you can see the making, what I'm making, a little bit better, with a better background color. Right, here we go. That's the wire. Yeah, you can see that better now. So 8 centimeters and 9 centimeters each length, so it's 18 centimeters, and then the lanolin is here. This is pure lanolin. Now, so what we need to do first off, I'm going to make the little arms. If you've got a thinner wire, like our paper covered wire, works perfectly too. And I've decided to go a little bit off the beaten track, didn't I? So I'm going to give my little Wichtel some purple mittens. And so there's 2 ways now how you can use this lanolin wool. You can either use it so that you mix it into the wool and make the whole wool lanolin rich, add the lanolin back into the wool, which basically that was in wool before, not this particular wool, but in some wool. So you can make the wool greasy again. And you can already feel it has got that sort of real lovely tactile feel to it, and what's more, it makes your hands really smooth. It's such a lovely product. That's why it gets used in cosmetics a lot, because it is actually really good for your skin. And because you've made the wool sort of slightly sticky, it's quite easy to wrap it around the end. So I'm building the end up like this. It's quite small scale what I'm doing here. And then I'm going to bend the ends in. So I've got now my little mitten, but if you're using a pipe cleaner, you'd have that automatically. And I am going to wrap more around the wire. The arm will become a lot thicker with a second color that I'm putting over it. I'm actually going all the way to the other side, which means you can also just let the wool slip through your fingers. Oh, this is so nice. Look at that. How tight is that? That's all because of the lanolin. That is really, it's so nice to use that. Then build the other side up as well, as you did with the first one. I'm running out of wool, but I'm just going to make the bend like that. I'll make the bend. Come on. There. Push it shut. If you can use your fingers, or use the pliers if need be. And then I'm just going to put a little bit of wool at the end of this slightly smaller hand to even it out with the first. Now this wool is absolutely amazing now. Just a little bit of lanolin, and suddenly you've got the nice stickiness of that wool, and it really wants to bind to itself. So it's absolutely delightful to work with. Okay, so my tiny little set of hands and my tiny little set of arms are here, right? That's it. So this is a slightly different way of making the opposable shape, because what you do now is you use about, well, I need to sort of maybe give you measurements, but it's totally made up, this whole thing, so I have nothing really measured, but I want to say do about maybe 1/3, so about 3 centimeters here at the top, right? Just give it a twist so you know where 3 centimeters are, just here, okay? And then this part here, you're going to now cover with the wool that's going to be the hat. And I'm going to use orange, okay? So now you can do it like this straight away and wrap it around it, or you could open this up again and wrap the wool around the middle that's slightly bent, so that you get rid of the very tip of the wire, and when you close the hat, it's going to be the hat here, and just make sure you have that twisted again so you know where to stop where to stop with the hat, and basically wrap this top part up with the orange wool, and that's going to be the hat. So what you don't want to do is you don't want to wrap much at the very tip of it, because that needs to be nice and pointy. The good thing about doing this that way is that you have a posable hat. So at any point later on, you can either have that sticking up straight, or you can have it slouching down. In any case, you have got a hat that you can bend. So I'm holding my finger here to stop the wool from slipping down, but that's sort of, that's the hat. And at this point, you can start needle felting. Now I've been quite clever. Because of my magnetic needle case, I have put everything in there that I might need, including some titchy tiny little 3mm eyes, so that you don't need to necessarily have eyes. But this golden orange is a very fine wool, and I'm actually going to stab it with my fine needle. Depending on what wool you've used, I've got this golden orange, and it works really well stabbing it with my fine needle. So that's just the first bit of stabbing that's taking place here, to get the wool stabbed down and get that fastened in. Make sure you don't stab into the needle, into the wire. The needle won't like it at all. And so the other thing that I don't even know if I've mentioned this on the list, because I didn't bring it myself. I just need to grab some pink wool, so just bear with me for 1 second. I didn't get any flesh coloured pink wool. Oh, I've got so much kicking around everywhere, don't know where to go for it. Okay, I'll be back in a second. So you don't need very much at all. You can of course cover the fists with that pink as well. Sorry, me walking in front of the camera there. And the next thing you're going to do is you're actually going to needle felt, well, at the head first, below the hat. So you now want to make a little built up pink part here. That's going to be the little face. So it's about 1 centimeter, I want to say. 1 centimeter off. You can use white. You could use the sample that you've had in your flock box, the Gotland white, because you can actually colour it in with a bit of blusher later. And then felt this down. And of course, what's happened now is you've got a very weird little mini pokey hat there. And then of course you've got the face. So what you want to do next is you want to get that hat out, that was my finger, built up a little bit more so that it actually covers more of the face. So felt this down. I'm still using my fine needle, even though no, I've actually got the Australian Merino flesh pink rather than the New Zealand Merino, which is a little bit coarser. So the Australian Merino fits with the hat Australian Merino. And now I'm going to use more of this. I'm going to wrap the wool a little bit more so that the part of the head is covered now. So you can see you can actually make that little hat quite easily by building the head first and then putting a bit more wool about it. Even though it looked very wrong a second ago, it looks much less wrong now. So just get that on for now. So you've got your little hat, and you can work on that part at any point later as well. So the hat can be built up a lot more, going up to the top. You can make it longer as well, because you can always extend beyond that little tip of the hat here. But for now, I'm just going to keep it like that. And then maybe add more wool to it later and make it slightly longer. So now you've got hat, head there. And where are my arms? Oh, there they are. And the arms. So the arms are going in here now. Put them in like that in the middle. Okay. And then twist the wire shut to trap them. So they're in there. They're not massively secure, but they're fine for now. And go down a little bit. Not too much, because you don't want to make the legs too short. And they can have sort of quite squat little bodies. And now you're going to give your little Wichtel the main body color. And I'm going to go for dragon mix color. So I'm going to just build up the body a little bit so that the arms stop wobbling around. Okay, build that up a bit, just so that you get the arms secure. And I'm also going to wrap the arms in a minute, because I'm going to give them that same color. So again, this is how the wool would behave without the lanolin. It sort of comes off. You have to really hold it down. But if you add a little bit of lanolin in your fingers and just let it run through your fingers as you're wrapping the wool around, it's honestly, the difference is like night and day. The wool actually sticks to itself, and this is why we love the lanolin rich core wool so much. But now you can turn every single wool into lanolin wool. Look, it just stays really tight. And sorry, get the wool first. Going to make the start around the body here again, and then start wrapping it. But actually going to use a little bit of lanolin rich wool, put lanolin in my hand, and then let the wool slide and pick up little bits of that grease, and it just makes a huge difference. So however you want to use it, it's entirely up to you, because you can also just use it to get sort of initial grip on the wire before you start building bulk. And when you get to a point where you need to felt it down a little bit more, then you can just felt it. It still felts perfectly. The only thing that doesn't work when you've got wool with lanolin is wet felting. Because obviously it stops the wool from felting together through water and soap, but the needle works perfect on it. Just going to do this side a bit, build that up a bit more so it looks more like the other side. Now this is not the full body shape yet. It's quite a strange project, because you do bits on all kinds of things and then you come back to it. So now I've got a very skinny body. I've got sort of a hat here, needs a bit more work, and then I'm going to do the legs. Now for the legs, I'm actually going to give him green trousers. Okay, green trousers, and I tease the wool, and I'm going to wrap the wool around the wire. Again, if I let go of it now, it will sort of unravel itself. Add a little bit of lanolin, go around it, and it stays. It literally, it just wants to stick to itself. It's magic. Now I'm not going to go all the way down to the very end, because I want to give him some nice big boots, so I need to keep the end free at the moment. But I'm going to wrap the other leg up Same way, a little bit of lanolin in my fingers, and it's lovely to use it, honestly, it's so nice. Yeah. Sorry, I'm working too close to the base, aren't I? Oh, sorry, guys, you should have told me much sooner. Move this out of the way. Okay. Oh, I keep falling off the bottom of the screen. Can't see what you're doing. I'm so sorry, Monica and Margaret and everybody. And Colette messaged me, but of course I'm way too engrossed in my own little world here. Hopefully you can see this better now. So I'm wrapping the wool around the legs. Just checking if you're actually watching. How about that? There we go. So a little bit more on that side. And then of course you don't just want the legs sticking out. You actually want to give him a bit of a bottom. So I'm going around that part again. Though in a minute I'm going to put the top over his bottom again. So it's actually sort of almost a building of layers, because you start with the hat, then you work on the face or the head, then you go back on the hat, then you work on the body, the arms and the body. Then you work on the legs, then you work on the body again in a minute, as you will see. The boots are going on at the very end on the bottom of the feet. And I'm building up that body in a minute a lot more. But now I want to finish the feet, so I'm going to give him, of course I want to give him black boots. There's a bit of black. So I'm going to wrap this, and I'm going to use a little bit of lanolin again. There. Right at the very end of his feet. And I'm going to bend this in. I'm not bending it in so that the end of the wire disappears. I'm just bending it in so I get that boot shape. I don't have enough wire to bend it in to not have the end poking out. But if you felt it down, I think the wool will sort of just go to cover the very tip of that wire, and it's fine. Just checking if he's got the feet pointing the right way, or maybe I need to turn the head there. And then I do this on the other side. So it is really quite working on very small am I in the right place now, or am I still not in the right place doing this? So okay, wrap that, bend the foot in so you know where the toe part is and the shaft, and then wrap the wool around it nice and tight. You can do this. This is literally the perfect combination, is wool with this lanolin, and then you can use really quite thin wire, because and especially when you're doing a little Wichtel and you don't have colors where it matters so much if it looks a little bit dirty, it is absolutely perfect using it on this combination. So using the wool with the lanolin to get the wool to stick really nice and solid. It is such a good way of doing this, and your hands feel really soft. I absolutely love it. Now, because he's got his top tucked inside his trousers, we want to sort that out again. He's definitely got one arm that's bigger than the other, so I'm almost inclined to take some off, actually, because I don't want it to be so big. Oh my goodness, I've taken so many layers of things off most recently. Oh look, there we go. Easy. Yes, it's not just always about adding. Sometimes you got to take things off. But I'll put a bit of lanolin in my fingers again and just build the arm to exactly the same size as the other one. We don't need great big chunky arms. They are really quite dainty little men. There we go. So that's better. And I'm going to just build up that body a little bit more, and maybe we've got time to make a second one, because then maybe you can see all of it, not just the last bits. Now sometimes what I do is, when you've got when you want something to overlap, what I do is sometimes I just lay it flat like that, and then felt it down a little bit, just prepare it just a little bit, and then fold it in half, so you've got a clear edge here. felt that down as well. Just a little bit. I'm doing very, very shallow stabs. So you've basically got a ready-made edge here, a little ready-made bottom of the jumper, so to speak. Close it up, felt it down on the body where it needs to go. So you felt the wispy ends. That is not where you bent it, it's not where you folded it, but it's the other end. The fold is right down, hanging over his trousers at the moment. And then felt this down. I'm still using my fine needle, let it sort of melt into the rest of the body already. Felt it down, felt it down, felt it down. And I haven't even looked at any of the chats. What everybody's telling me, I'm not on the screen, so I don't want to read it because I feel so bad about it. There. And then you can go in that space between that little overhang that you've made and make it even neater, and that also felts it down a little bit more. So you have actually got like a little jumper that that hangs over the top. Now, the bit that we haven't done yet is eyes, beard, and finishing off the hat. And I'm going to put the eyes in next. Now you can needle felt the eyes. They don't need to be little glue-in eyes, as I'm going to use in a minute. I'm just going to felt that hat down a little bit more because it's very soft, trying to avoid the wire. Here we go. And I tell you what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move that down a bit. Yeah, now I can be further down. There you go. Move the camera instead of my hands. And little eyes. Now you can put little 3mm glue-in eyes in. Do this by just poking the needle through where one eye goes. Put the little pin in. The disadvantage of using this lanolin is that you get very slippy fingers, but honestly the benefits outweigh the non-benefits, whatever the word is. Okay, put the second hole in. I haven't actually checked if they're a pair, these eyes. Good enough, I suppose. So then obviously you just glue it in with a glue bottle that you hopefully have to hand, and I don't, but I'm just going to leave it. Now you put a dab of glue behind it, as we always do. Now the next thing that you're going to do is you're going to have to choose your beard. Oh my goodness, have I got choices for beards? Okay, let's just come up for air for a minute. I have got so many different options here. So our little Wichtel needs a white beard, definitely. I have never seen one without a white beard. So I have got, well, you could give him a nice soft, really soft, like he's had some nice beard oil in there, or maybe some lanolin. And this is the extra fine merino, Australian merino tops. Okay, you could also give it what we call our loopy locks. Love this one. That's similar to what I used on these. So it's a really lovely sort of boucle type alpaca wool. Works really well with Nomi beards. Just take a bit off so you can see it. We've got our mohair boucle. It's a lot more loopy, but if you felt it down really nice and dense, it looked like a really sort of thick bushy beard. Can use that. You can use our fuzzy yarn. I don't know if you've used that before. It's just a very hairy yarn, so you can use that too. There. So we have so many options for beards. It's quite hard to choose what we're going to go for. I'm going to put the options all out here for a minute, and then maybe we can sort of fit it and see So they're all white options. Let's have a look. There we go. All white options. That's the mohair. So he'd have like a really lovely fluffy beard. That's the boucle mohair. So be quite nice on that one as well. That one is the thinner loopy locks, little loopy locks. I think that would look nice. And then we've got the fuzzy yarn. So it's entirely up to you, whatever you've got to hand. In any case, what I would do is, if you're using a top, it's slightly different. But let's stick with this fuzzy yarn. What I do is I wind the wool around my fingers a couple of times and then tear it off. And then I've got a little orderly bunched up wool, and I'm going to put this into the place where I want it to go. So spread it out a little bit sideways. So you're felting this now on for a beard at the front of your little Wichtel, right? Let's get it felted down on his face, just below his eyes, because he's grown his beard. Keep himself warm. Okay. So you want to bring this up to where almost sort of where you imagine his ears are. That's his beard. Now you can keep it like that, or you can cut the loops out and make it into a slightly bushier beard, because it'll sort of have its own mind then. You can even trim it a little bit if you want it more pointy. Yeah. I think that looks quite nice. I like that fuzzy yarn. And then you're going to give him some hair at the back, so you do the same, but maybe a bit shorter. So I'm just going to wrap it around one finger. Tear it off, take it off, spread it out, felt it on. You have to just make sure that you go into every single loop so that it doesn't fall off, especially if you're cutting it open. So just make sure you felt into the loops. And that's giving him his hair. Keep that down the front. The hat's still not right. I haven't finished. This is one of these projects where you go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. So there's now the hair on. You can cut the loops open again, if you can find them. This works for all of the yarns. You can even use sort of an ordinary knitting yarn for this, to be perfectly honest. And if you need to trim that off a bit, do so. Yeah. It's always better to start out with a slightly too long hairdo and then trim it off. And then to finish the hat off, we're using that same method that we used for the jumper, where you actually have a bit of wool like that. Let's give it a pre-stab, just to have it a little bit holding together, just a little bit like that, and then fold it in half. Obviously whatever strip of wool you're creating needs to be long enough to fit around whatever you want to cover up, so in this case the hat. And then fit it so that you're building up that area of the hat below the lowest part of the hat. So it looks much more cone shape, and felt it on so that you just stab the wispy ends into the main hat shape, going up, and leave that edge at the moment. Don't stab into it, just leave it. And then when you've got it felted on and you're happy with it, then you find that literally that gap in between the head and the hat, and felt into it, and sort of it will expose his little eyes again. At the back it's okay to be slightly lower, but that's basically how you would do the hat. Now you could of course put a little fringe in there as well. I haven't done that on this one. And you can, because you've got a wire in the hat, you can actually bend it. So you can bend the wire. You can make the hat longer if you wish, but just show you how to do that too. Just take a little bit more of the hat wool. Could even add a little bit of lanolin on your fingers. And then just keep wrapping it, and always a little bit above where the hat end is, and then felt it onto the bit that you know is solid. And then this part here is about 1 centimeter the hat has grown by doing this, and you might have to add another layer, but that's how you can extend the hat beyond the wire. So obviously you can't bend the very tip then. Oh, his eye's fallen out. I should have glued them in. Oh dear, a one-eyed little Wichtel. Can't have that, can we? So keep the hat either straight or never gonna get that eye back in. Where's the hole there? I can see it. Come on, little operation. Come on, in you go. No, my fingers are so slippy from the lanolin. Okay, I've got to make that hole again. Right, I'm going to take a slightly longer pin on an eye. There, that's better. Right, so you've got a little face looking at you. There you go, with his hat. The hat bends, not the very tip because that's been attached. You can felt that down a little bit more. Now, if you're going for a slightly bigger Wichtel, you can also put a little belt on him, which I did on this one here. So he's got a slightly bigger body. But this one is definitely small, as is this one. So that's sort of roughly the size. But you've got lots of flexible wire that you where you could expand on all of that if you wanted to. So the question is, shall I make another one? Because we have got time to do it. I would just do sort of a bit of a speedy work there. But I'm just going to have a look at some of the comments here. Oh, I've got to put my glasses back on. Right, I've missed out on so many comments. The little felt creatures for my doll's house. Oh yeah, you can use those. I have less irritation with the lanolin in the pot than the core wool. Ah, that's interesting. I didn't know you had irritation with the lanolin. I'm going to have to drink some of that tea now. Oh yes, it does, Ashley. It does smooth out fuzzy bits, the lanolin, because it just flattens it, because it sticks it together. So you can use it to let's see if I can demonstrate it. So I've got the hat here, which I haven't felted down that much yet, but you can use it to just smooth out the wool a little bit. I think you need to felt it down a bit more first. But yeah, you can, and it works really well on wire wrapped stuff. But the good thing is that you can still felt into it as well. So it kind of, you can't really go wrong using it. I'm going to make this little tip of the hat now point up a little bit more. There, it's got a funny shape now. So if you get a good grip of it, and you can actually just really sort of massage it in, then yes, you can definitely smooth it out, and you can see that that has actually worked here. Even though that part of the hat does need a little bit felting down, it's quite soft still compared to the rest of the hat. But there you go, you can definitely smooth things out, and it's really lovely and soft on your fingers. And you've got, even though you've got a tiny Try Me tin in the flock box for the August, there's actually loads in there. I mean, I've barely dipped into the larger tin. Pauline says, I used some of mine when making my Tyrannosaurus, currently doing a bit of dentistry and giving him teeth. Oh dear. I'm late, but we'll catch up later, says Alexia. Margaret says, could you move your hands up a little? Yes. I'm so sorry. I've done it. I'm not reading those messages because I'm annoyed at myself. a great tip for another way to make a body shape. Oh, thank you. Pip says, forgot, I was making biscuits with my daughter for her daddy's return home tonight. We'll have to watch again. No worries at all. You do biscuits with your daughter. That sounds way more important. I think maybe call mine Worry Wichtel. Did I read Wichtel there? Ashley, it's Wichtel. Wichtel. You need to practice it. Another great tip, not a curl inside a stash buster. Oh my goodness. You can use flat wool. You don't need to use the curls. Laura says, I'm literally stuck on his boots. Or are his boots stuck on me? Oh, that's hilarious. Margaret says, he's so cute, love him. I think the proportions of mine are a bit off. He looks like he's had too much rum and lost a shoe. Oh dear. Share photos, please. Make sure you share all your photos with us. So I don't know, what do people think? Do you want me to make another quickie? Or shall we, I don't know, shall we do something? Well, I don't know. We can't do anything else. So question is, another little fast one, see how quick I can do it. I could maybe try in 10 minutes, like a time-lapse sort of quick one. Is that a challenge set or not? What do you reckon? Shall we do it? Yes, please. Okay, I'm going to go to the overhead camera. Are you ready? You need to keep your eyes peeled because this is going to be fast. Okay, here we go. Right, I'm going to cut my wire. I'm going to stick with the same size because it works. And so I need 18 centimeters, which is here. That's for the body and arm and legs. And I'm going to use 8 centimeters for the arms. Here we go. And I will use the lanolin wool, though you could also use a woolly wax if you've got that instead, just to make the wool stick. And for this one, I'm going to give him, oh, what shall I do? Oh, we're going to do orange hands this time. So, a little bit of lanolin in your fingers. You can also rub it on the wire. Does no harm whatsoever. Use a little bit of this wool and start wrapping it around the end of the wire. The wool will stick to you if you've got lanolin on your fingers. Just build up the layer a little bit. Use your pliers if you have any, just to keep that bend of the fist really small, because you don't want to bend it in too much. You shorten the arms too much then. And then bend it shut one way or another. Wire keeps slipping. Oh, I'm got used to my fingers. Okay, here we go. It's closed now. And then wrap more wool around the hand. And then go up the arm. Now this is the bit that I love, when you turn the whole thing round and you just literally twist the wire and allow the wool to slip through your finger. As it slips through your fingers, it picks up the lanolin, and look how smooth you can make this cover. I love it. Bend the other side in and then cover that end as well. So now you've got sort of 2 mini fists on either end. You can use a skin colour for this as well, or just give them little mittens. This is probably the neatest set of arms I've ever done. That's amazing. Just by using this lanolin wool. Now there's 2 ways of doing at the tip of the hat, but I think the easiest is to wrap wool in the center of this 18 centimeter contraption here. And I'm going to go for, let's give him a dragon mix hat color. So I'm just going to put the wool around the middle, use a tiny bit of lanolin just to get it to stick a bit better, and then you twist that wire into half like that, and you can actually, it works really well to twist it totally shut, because that makes a nice pointy hat then. So have that totally shut, the wool is trapped now, and the bend is covered with wool. And then you go down, I want to say by about 3 centimeters if you're going in with these proportions. At this point, if you want him to have longer legs, just make the hat shorter, because what you can do is you can always extend the hat. So that's a little tip. If you want the legs to be longer, just make the hat shorter. It's a strange concept, I know, but here we go. Remember, the hat is not finished at this point, far from it, because you're going to put the face underneath it next, which I'm going to use the pink wool here. And again, I'm going to put a bit of lanolin in my fingers. Oh, my hands are so smooth. And I'm going to wrap this below the hat. Again, make sure that you keep your hand that's not wrapping, but the one that's holding onto the wire, in one position, so you don't get tempted to give him a long face. Yeah, we don't want a long-faced Wichtel. We want a nice little round face here. And that is, in theory, the finished size of the face, but bearing in mind you don't see very much of it at all, so it doesn't matter too much. Just add a little bit more. And if you haven't got pink, then use white, because you can always colour in the cheeks with a little bit of blusher, or just leave it white. It's such a small area. And at this point you can start needle felting. I'm using my fine needle. Mind that you don't stab into the wire. The wire really doesn't like it. I mean, the needle doesn't like it, the wire doesn't care. And stab this all around. There. So you've got, the head is totally out of proportion with the hat at the moment. You can build more hat up if you want now, or you can do it later. We did it a little bit now and then a little bit at the very end. But remember that there is still going to be a lot happening with that face and the hat. So at the moment, just get the hat built up a little bit more, and keep that, obviously keep the head clear. Mind the wire inside. And you can extend the hat later if you wish. So for now, just keep it. There's always, you can always come back to it when you see more of the proportions of your little Wichtel. Hope you can all say it now. It's going to be the secret word to unlock the golden doors to the makers, is Wichtel. Okay, so now you've got the rest of these wires sticking out at the bottom, and I'm going to insert the hands in the middle, like that, or the arms I should say. There, push them in, make sure they're in the middle, and then twist the wire shut underneath, so you're trapping it, and then go down. I want to say probably no more than, what is that? Measure it quickly. No more than 1.5 centimeters to 2 centimeters, so that you've got a good, you've still got two same length legs, which mine don't seem to be same length. Just unwinding that a bit, make that sure that they're the same length. I think I've wrapped one wire around the other, so that's not the idea. The idea is that you twist the wire around each other, rather than what I've done. I've wrapped one around the other, but I've remedied it by pulling it out again. So you've got that now, and now you're going to use the main body wool, which whatever that is for you. I'm going to use green to cover some of the body, and go and put the arms so that they don't move, by just going around the shoulders. Nice and tight, remember? If you need to, use lanolin. It really does make it tight. And then felt it down a little bit. Now we're going to cover the arms in the same color. Definitely using a bit of lanolin now. Oh, so nice. Right. And going up one arm. It really works when you've got to cover something nice and neat. And it's somehow the wool absorbs the lanolin, so it might look a little bit greasy, but kind of gets sucked up by it. It's almost like the wool wants it back after you've taken it from it. Not you personally, obviously. And same here. So just allow the wool to slip through your fingers that have got the lanolin on it. That's all you need to do. Is you don't need to rub it into the wool or anything like this. Not from when you're wrapping wire. So it's just distributing it around the body a little bit. And this is still not the finished size of anything yet, other than the head. The hat will need more work and the body needs more work. And you're going to now add the leg cover on. So whatever color you're choosing, I'm going to go for, I seem to only have these colors for purple. So this is going to be a very similar one, but with different colors on different parts of the body. So again, a little bit of lanolin and get the wool wrapped on there. I'm bending the arms out of the way. Get the wool wrapped on there to, you can go down to the end, but we're going to put boots at the very end. It's hardly a strand of wool what I'm doing here, so take some off. And just trying to get a grip here. Come on. Ah, here we go. Now I've got it. Work your way up. And then do the other side. It does take a little bit of practice with the lanolin stuck to your fingers, but once you've got the gist that the wool is actually slipping through your fingers and picking it up as you go, I think that that sort of helps. So just get the legs built up. If you wrap the wool around it and you haven't put lanolin on it, you can add it afterwards. The only thing is you need to then twist it in the direction that you've wrapped it, and that also firms it up. So you can use the lanolin afterwards. That's what we talked about earlier, where you can smooth down the fuzz. You can do that too. So I'm just wiping off some of the lanolin off my fingers and wrapping it around. And now I'm going to put his boots on. I'm going to stick with black. So a bit of purple has come off. Put a bit of black on it, just take half of that. And get that wrapped around. And what I did is I actually bent his foot in so I could see where the toes are meant to be. And then I've gone a little bit further than where the wire pokes out. In any case, if you can't get there with the wool, you can also just do that with a needle. Just stab into it a bit so that you've got haven't got the wire poking out right at the tip of the toe. And just felt that down. We're working on a really small scale here. So if you're finding this fiddly, I don't blame you, it is fiddly. Just a bit of lanolin, smooth that out as well. Little boot. Also, I don't know about you, but my eyes in the evening, they're so tired of looking all day. Especially because my eyes pop open at about 4:30 in the morning. And no surprise there. They're like, I've had enough. At a certain time in the evening. I don't want to look anymore. Just shut me now and leave me be. So I'm actually really struggling to see a lot of this, what I'm doing right now, because my eyes are just so tired. One of the reasons why the evening live streams are more challenging for me, because I often say that at the weekend, I say to my family, I said, do you think there's something wrong with me? Why am I so tired at 9 o'clock? And they're all like, well, you've been up since 4. We haven't got up until about 9 or 10. And then I thought, well, actually, you know, they've been up 5. I've been up 5 hours longer than they have. I go to bed at 9, and they might go to bed at 11. That still is only like 2 hours after me, but I'm up 5 hours longer in the morning. So no wonder I'm knackered at the end of the night. Right. Little fuzzy boots this one has. And now you just build the different body parts up accordingly to what you need. So you can make the legs a bit bigger. I'm keeping them as they are. I'm going to give him that little jumper look by felting down a bit of wool. There's quite a lot here actually. And then folding it in half. So if you've seen me do this before, keep that edge neat. Felt it down. And then just put it on him so that you wrap it literally around him like that, and then felt it into the body so that it sort of smoothes out with the rest of his upper body and the arms. I mean, a lot of this again you won't see because it's covered up, a lot of it is covered up with a beard, and it's on such a small scale. And then you can just felt into that overhang here at the bottom, so to keep it separate from his legs, but make sure that you felt the edge a bit more as well. So it looks like you've made a separate garment, but you actually haven't. You just felted it on at the bottom like that. That's it. And then you're going to work on his beard and then on his hat. That's the order. So because we haven't used a top, I'm going to use a top. Now tops are notoriously hard to split into a short strand. So as soon as you tear it, you've still got long strands. So on this occasion, what I want to say is you could cut it. You could also fold it in half. But that's still too long, so I wanna say cut it. We don't normally cut wool, but what you do is you want these wispy ends to be on his beard, and you want the other ends to be felted in. So I would fold them under, so not in half, but just a little bit under. I haven't given him eyes yet, but I can do that in a minute. And just felt that in where the beard is going to go. And for this one I'm going to give him little closed eyes like he's laughing. So this is the beard felted in, and to give him tiny little eyes you need the tiniest amount of black. So instead of using glue-in eyes you can also use little wispy bits of black or darker brown. And just felt little, I mean they don't need to be closed, you could felt little round eyes in there for open eyes. And another one here. So they don't need to be glue-in eyes, they can be felted eyes as I'm demonstrating right now. And he's got a little soft wispy beard. And then on the other side, again I'm going to cut this, but I'm going to cut it slightly what I want it to be. Actually this time I'm going to fold it under again, but this time I'm doing it the other way, so the cut edge is like he's had a haircut. The cut edge is at the bottom, so he's got straight hair hanging down his back rather than wispy hair, and you can shorten that still if you want. Now I'm going to work on the hat in a minute because that needs to be brought down a lot. So at the moment I know it doesn't look very pretty, but I will cover that up. So the only thing that's kind of weird at the moment is that the hat's not right, and I'm going to adjust that in a minute, but I'm going to just cut his hair a bit shorter there. That's better. And then remember what we did with the hat? Use another bit of the wool, the hat wool, and there's quite a bit of bulk that I need to build up on that one, so I'm going to layer that up a little bit thicker. Again, I'm going to felt this down beforehand on my mat, just briefly felt it down a little bit. Doing this from both sides now. And then fold it in half. Keep the fold unfelted, just keep that nice and soft and round at the moment. And then you're going to lay this, oh gosh, that's going to be a really big hat now, onto his head. Felt it down. So follow the line of the hat and felt it down. Don't worry too much at the moment at what happens near his head. Just get the wool felted down so that it's solidly attached, and then you can adjust the area around his face a little bit more. So allow it to fold down at the back a little bit, so you can pull it down over the back of his head. That always looks nicer than having it sort of high up. Felt that down. And yeah, he's got a really lovely shape now. Just by coming back to the areas that you sort of built up a little bit but not finishing it, and then coming back again and coming back again, I think it really works to make these little fellows. Yeah, you wouldn't think that there's still ways of making of making a new variety of little gnomes, but it's endless. Needle felting and the possibilities of how to make things is endless. And of course, instead of using the flexible steel wire, you can use the thinner paper covered wire. You can use pipe cleaners. If you use the pipe cleaners, you can have the little fists exposed. Make sure you use the luxury pipe cleaners that we sell, because there's no wire shows through when you bend them into shape. And that is exactly what I did with this little one. He's got brown mittens on, but that's actually just the end of the pipe cleaner, so I didn't have to wrap that part up. Makes it even simpler. And that, I think, is probably as far as I will go with these little Wichtel. I can cut his beard a bit shorter there. And yeah, a row of little Wichtels, 2 in the middle I made, and the other 2, obviously you can go bigger if you want to, are the ones that I had already made as a sample. And that's really it, I suppose. I will check into the chat again. Once I've taken these glasses off, I can't see a thing at all. So, are you still there? Yes, good. So some of you might have gone by now, but I don't mind. Easy, steady, go. Yeah, I did it. How long did it take me? Oh, it did take me a little bit longer than 15 minutes. But anyway, Jane says, I love him. They're really cute. Excellent. Right. Well, thank you so much for watching. Remember, your next flock membership is going to be all about pebble making. So if you're interested, then obviously tune in for the next flock gathering at the end of September. And it's not that big, you're going to make the pebbles, but you will have the resources in your flock box to make a smaller pebble rug or like a little coaster. I really love this one. You can sit all your little Wichtel on it for a little get together and have them maybe chat who they can help in the future. Maybe it's you. Maybe it is you. So yeah, it was really lovely to be here with you tonight. I want to show you this little arrangement that I'm making here. There you go. So imagine you have your little pebble rug. Sitting on them are all the little Wichtel that you made, and I think that's a really lovely little decoration. So, but show us your Wichtel in the meantime, share them in the flock or share them on Everyone a Maker, and I shall leave you now. So thank you so much for watching again. I will make sure that this is posted in the YouTube playlist, so I will let you know where it is when it's ready. See you very soon. Take care, everybody. Lots of love, and bye.